Welcome back to the stream. This is Tushar Singh from I Am Ultimate. We have returned from our lightning delay where for about an hour we were not allowed back onto the fields at all. Cube from Quebec City and Iris from Quebec are coming back out onto the field. The disc will continue from the point when the lightning delay started. We are just so happy to be bringing this back to you. I'm happy to be giving it back to Theo Wan and G Lee to call this game. This is the spirit of Ultimate right here, and thank you for joining us. It's just good to be able to finish these games out. Please stay tuned right after this match because we will then go into the open final.
We're back for second half action. We got Cube in the darks with Iris in the whites, Theo Wan, G Lee, as Tushar Singh said, our producer. We thank you for joining us and want to see what Cube can do as there's about 20 minutes left till the soft cap. +1 rule there.
Yes, it's good to be back. It's been about an hour or so. We have had to find shelter due to the thunder and lightning in our area. Looks like both teams are set up right now with Cube on offense. Waiting, I think, for the time to start. As you can tell, everyone's trying to get warmed up still, getting back at it after sitting down or even crouching, actually, because there were so many people under that shelter. But we are waiting right now for the horn, waiting to begin. Coaches are running across the field. This is Ultimate, everybody.
Coach Fisher on the field. Turcotte trotting off the field for Cube. Both teams clapping. They're back out there. They'll be playing a little bit more Ultimate in Brampton. Conclusion of this women's final.
The wind is down now.
Pretty still. It's a little bit colder than it was before, of course, but one thing we definitely noticed coming up here is the stiller conditions.
Yeah, wind has died down a lot. The storm has kind of taken everything with it, so hoping this will stay the same for the next game as well.
Cube in a horizontal stack, trying to figure out what we could help with, figure out what the delay is, but we're gonna just
It's ready to go now. They're just waiting for Sporty.
let all the observers get in sync here. And the horn signifying play, and that's what we were waiting for. Chu on the mark, Elsa Chu, number 18 for Iris. And Cube ready to get things started. That long delay, you never know who that favors, because both teams have the delay and both teams were here, so it's not like one team's going to benefit more than the other, but we always want to see how teams respond to these circumstances. Going around, Bergeron finds Lacera. And team's going to have to get right back into action here. Bouchard with the disc, guarded by Genet. Throwing out into space for her receiver.
And Theo, looks like right now Iris's defense hasn't changed very much. They're still going with that flat mark, straight up, trying to make Cube throw as much as they can to the sides.
Good defense and pressure. Iris making a play. That's Goujon.
Cube just had a good opportunity to move the disc up, but as you can tell, Iris is still focused and ready to go. And just like you said before, what's going to happen after this long break when we've been waiting so long just to get back on the field?
It's a good test of both teams' mental resolve here. Beerus needing an option, trying to look for Genet, and two players coming down with it, and then it's given up to Dion. Gonna wait for the observer call. There's 4 of them for this game, and Dion will be credited with the goal, and Iris will get the break off the restart.
That's a very important point to come out strong, especially after, again, that whole lightning delay, which really does, it challenges you a little bit, hey, Theo? It makes you have to rethink, reset, and do everything all over again, especially with a score as big as what we're seeing right now.
Cube jogging back to the line here, and we'll see what different personnel they'll have out there. We know they go, we've talked about this at length, a little upwind, downwind, to see what they do for this one or with the new changes.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they would change their offense and defense right now, just because there's a bit of a larger deficit than I think they would like for such a short period of time. Are they going to put more of their powerhouses on there?
See the third member of our broadcast team on the public address announcer mic. Hopefully getting some more fans into the crowd. We expect teams maybe slowly trickling in before they head out for other festivities. Defense chance here from Iris, 2 points away from a gold medal. They were victorious in 2018, defeating Stella. Massé with the big pull for the Quebec side in white. La Tulip's going to be the center handler. Been do it all for this Cube squad throughout this tournament. Joanne finds the aforementioned La Tulipe. And Huck going up, looking for Houdon. And just making sure, Comtois just making sure it goes out of bounds or stays there.
Great movement there by Cube, moving it quickly, trying to get that disc moving up the field. The Huck a little bit too far to the side over there, and I don't think the cutter actually saw it till too late.
While getting a big under, has had a couple goals in this contest, getting up high with 2 hands strong for points. Keeping things going around, and 2 players in the area. Levette calling off her teammate. Great little fake, and now had her reset, but going to go across the field instead and getting up high for the save. Comtois. Up the line now for Dubé. Iris continue to push on this open side with Massé bursting up. Gates her defender and Waugh. Big grab, toeing the line. Less than 10 yards away from another goal and break. Dubé going up line as well. Gonna have to settle for the hammer. And coming down with it, Iris getting a second straight point. Going up strong with the 2 hands. Waugh once again.
That was a very nice hammer. I'm guessing it was a high stall count as well. Cube playing really good defense on that open side there, making it very hard for any throws to get to that sideline. All you had to do was hammer it across the field. And without that wind, I think it's a bit more accurate than we've seen in the past.
It's pretty much still here. I'm not feeling any sort of breeze. It's not that humid as well. So the conditions pretty good for these teams. And the lights turned on here on this field. As Tushar Singh mentioned, our producer, there's going to be an open final in about half an hour. Stay tuned for that on this channel, YouTube channel, of course. Tell your friends about it. We also have the mixed final happening. It'll be happening simultaneously. PBHG from Winnipeg, the number 2 seed, taking on the number 1 seed, Toronto Union, in an epic clash of 2 mixed titans, both world's qualifiers.
Really, I was looking forward to watching that match as well. I think it was part of my picks, actually, Theo. I was picking both Union and PBHG to be in that final, and watching PBHG throughout this tournament, it has been pretty exciting. It'll be fun to watch that matchup and see if Union gives them a really good fight.
Great layout bid, and Iris can taste the gold medal. Topar flying through. Janae to pick up. Janae going up the line, finds her teammate, and there it is. Quebec Iris are your 2022 Canadian Ultimate champions in the women's division. They take it 15-5 over Cube.
What a great showing from Iris from the start. Even with that lightning delay, they did a wonderful job of just coming back and just making it look nice and easy, smooth. Cube did a great job here. Again, the coach was wanting to provide these women with a lot of experience, and I think in this final, they got that. They had a lot of great movement, a lot of good opportunities, and congratulations to Iris on their championship.
Cube, nothing to hang your heads about as well. Finishing second, seeded third in this tournament. Faced some adversity in pool play, losing to regional rivals Venus, and they're still clapping it up here. Will come away with a silver medal. Did the same back in 2012, so a big growing aspect for their program as both teams go to shake hands. Iris taking home the title. And we wish them the best of luck in their future endeavors, especially as they go into the U.S. series that we talked about. But for right now, I'm going to tell everyone to grab maybe some snacks or dinner wherever you are, depending on your location, or an afternoon snack if you're on the West Coast. We'll be back in half an hour on this same stream link for the open final, a Prairies battle between AFC Rumble and Winnipeg General Strike. The winner will be the Open champions of Canada in 2022. Stay tuned for that.
the women's medal ceremony right now. And just off to the left, Stella from Ottawa taking bronze. They were featured earlier on the stream. And then coming up in second place is going to be, so congratulations to Stella from Ottawa for their bronze, and then Cube from Quebec City with the silver. And a strong matchup. And Cube with a well-earned silver. And second place finish here at CUC 2020. And in first place, well, we'll come back to them shortly. We are 3 minutes away from the start of the Open Final. And then your gold medalists from Quebec. Iri. Well, we say Iris quite a bit. I've heard it pronounced a few different ways. But no matter which way you slice it, your champions for 2022. And I don't think there was a moment in any of the games that we've broadcast for this team where after the first few points, they weren't the overwhelming favorite to win the tournament. Congratulations. And thank you for those that have tuned in. We're going to start to switch now to the Open Final as we close out our day.
You're watching I Am Ultimate's coverage of the 2022 Canadian Ultimate Championships. We got the Open Division Final, a Prairies battle between AFC Rumble in the blue jerseys on the left side of your screen. We're going to get a good shot of them right there against General Strike in red out of Winnipeg. Theo Wan here, Clayton Howlett going to be joining us shortly, and Tushar Singh producing. Both teams undefeated heading into this matchup with victories in the semifinals. General Strike having the closer one, winning 9-8 over the number 1 seed Quake. General Strike in red pulling on defense. Get a first look at the Rumble offensive line here. And the disc is going to be put in the hands of number 41. That's Alex Bedard. His dad also on the team, Eric Bedard. And Alex has been a very solid handler for this Rumble squad. Been asked to do a lot for this offensive line. Lacey now. Just past or about to be midfield to Jordan Vogel, another player you need to watch out for on Rumble. Lefty over. Finds Bedard. Alex Bedard going to go pitch and catch with Vogel. Williams in coverage. Going around. Haven't found the end zone quite yet. About 10 yards away for the Rumble. Williams going to bat this away. Throw maybe needs to be a bit further for Vogel. And Toddle going to really anchor this defensive line. And picking up the disc right now for General Strike. Both teams being very enthusiastic before this game. Coming out with some cheers. General Strike even singing a song, so that was really exciting as the D-line gets it past midfield. Receiver going deep. Will the switch come too late? Vogel tips it, but it's caught on the second effort. That's Jack Murray, the speedster, with the spike and the score for Strike, and they get the first break.
That first break, Theo, a massive one in an open final. You want to set the tone immediately, show what kind of team you are going to be for this whole match. Needing to get that momentum early. Certainly do not want to fall behind against the break and already feel like you're on your heels at the very start of the game.
And for both of these teams, they faced a delay. We'd be remiss not to talk about it because for both of these teams, they played a quarter this morning. They had a one-game slot bye, played semis, and then there was some delays happening. So they've had some time to wait here, and they've been at this tournament, at this facility quite early, almost, we're going to count it almost 12 hours ago, 11 hours ago. Probably 12 hours ago with the warm-up.
Probably 12 hours ago with the warm-up. I was able to catch up with some of the players during the delay. They were very, positive, in good spirits. Obviously not happy about what was happening and worried about how the change in schedule could affect their performance in this game. But everybody keeping themselves up, engaged, ready to go for this final.
Split stack here from Rumble. See what play they design. It's going to be for Vogel. We know him for his speed, but really showing off his throw. He's going to do it right now. This is a lasery throw, but Hoffman, the big cutter defender, laying out for the block. General Strike really showing their defense right now.
Absolutely. That's the sort of plays you want to see in finals, not leaving anything to chance. One could argue that perhaps that was out of the reach of the receiver, but Strike making sure there's no chance.
Toddle going to unleash a backhand. Hoffman is there. Puts two defenders on a poster and flips it for the score. And this is the start that you want for General Strike. An immediate timeout from Rumble.
Hoffman fired up. Theo, he didn't get the goal, he got the assist. I think that warrants a bookends call going coast to coast to get that goal. It doesn't matter. That point was all Hoffman. I really like to see the faith Strike has in a receiver like that has just made a huge layout bid, running as fast as he can, and as soon as he takes off, they know he's got the wheels. They're going to put it. They're going to send it. They know he's got it.
And we're seeing a lot of hucks going up for General Strike, the first two defensive points here, and it's been coming from Zachary Toddle, which is he is a big part of this defensive line. He might not get on the stat sheet there because he's throwing it just short of the end zone, but he's been integral right now on this run.
That's true. When you say that, it reminds me of the hockey assist, that second assist. 2 passes before the goal. Often one we overlook when we do our statistics in Ultimate, but to get the disc down the field that far to Hoffman, so Hoffman can throw a little bit of dish. Tuttle doing most of the work in, well, covering 70, 80 yards of the field there. So big hucks like that coming from the back end in the field, from the handlers. Not always highlighted with names, but certainly integral to making plays like that happen.
You see Eric Bedard and Greg Adamson on the field talking to their players as observers, kind of telling them to speed it up. You see Dave Hochhalter on the sideline. Did not suit up, at least from what I saw in the semifinal. Played a little bit in the quarterfinal. So he is a captain of this team. Haven't seen him out there yet. See if he gets on the field here. Staniforth as well, a veteran beside Hochhalter, discussing some things. This offensive line going to have to just work once again, 3rd time in a row here.
3rd time's the charm. AFC still staying in it, giving that clap. Still cohesive as they set up in a split stack play and initiate right away to Hochhalter.
Tyler Hochhalter, big time cutter for them as well. And a bid from Tottle into the back of Vogel here.
You can see Glenn Ford reaching in to his pocket. And we know the observers have certainly been watching and worried about that sort of problem, those late bids. And actually, this is very interesting. Ford, I haven't seen this before, Theo, but if I'm correct, he is giving the upside down T. That's a spirit timeout. So I would think right now the observers taking the approach of we absolutely positively have to stop those sort of dangerous plays from happening. They felt that was dangerous as the bid resulted in an immediate injury. You can see the captains having a discussion. They seem on the same page. We'll probably go back to their teams and talk about what needs to happen. Hochhalter pretty worried about his player, talking to Coach Dad Bedard about what this was. And perhaps the observers, I haven't seen this before, Theo, if the observers will go speak to both teams or if they will come together. But this is a new one for me.
New one, I think, for the both of us, as Jesse Greenberg talking with Hochhalter, one of the captains. We saw Plur talking to Tottle as well. Tottle, the one who made the contact right through the back of Vogel, and you saw Vogel right away. Rumble has a trainer, has someone that they can help with these things, but that bid right into the body of Vogel in immediate pain, and you could hear him screaming there. So we're going to resume play here. I don't think there's going to be an actual coming together of both teams. We have seen that before. I remember seeing that vividly in 2015, the U23 final between Canada and USA.
Yeah, but it seems the messages were delivered and heard loud and clear. So Rumble slots into their vertical offense, and we're back to it.
Bedard gets it right before the bidding defender there. That was Tramley. And Lavoie coming onto the field. Going to try to make some plays for this Rumble squad, who's still looking for their first point of the game, having started on offense.
We're seeing a lot of patience right now, Theo. If that first look seems dangerous, maybe there's a second, otherwise swinging it around. Rumble knowing they have to absolutely play possession ultimate right now, down 2 breaks off the hop. And get some momentum back and get on the board.
Lavoie going a little too quick there, trying to go up the line. Little give-go action working against Tottle.
Common travel. Oh, I'm sorry, Theo, but common travel when players change direction as they try and throw at the same time. While you do have 3 steps, or while you have that momentum carrying you, it has to be in a straight line.
There's a foul called on the throw, or excuse me, on one of the handler resets, as there's a flying block coming in from General Strike. But that block from Tramley is going to be negated by a call from the handlers beside Lavoie.
See the players discussing what I would assume to be who stepped into who was maintaining position. And a very, very common discussion when there's a foul on the throw of, did the offense step into the defense? Did the defense step into the offense? They obviously always have a preference. It seems the players are contesting. I don't think they're involving the observer at this point, but I could be wrong.
And Clay, we've seen observer Glenn Ford get really involved. We also have Linda Kudo, Jeff Peters, and Jeff Blair. 4 observers. Team green this time. Normally we call them Team Orange. Lavoie high stall is going to put out lots of General Strike players there, but going up large for the score, Ryan Lacey climbed the ladder.
Lacey getting it done for Rumble right now. Super important. You see Rumble celebrating that in short order and then high fives and right back to business. Rumble really needed to stay on there. There's a little bit of talking happening between General Strike, the players involved in that foul call, and the observers. Sometimes that discussion isn't an angry one. Usually it's just a clarification. Please explain to me what I did wrong, or I'd like to understand the rule better, or perhaps some players I've seen ask, had I asked you, Team Orange, what would you have said? And that never works.
And we saw the bid earlier. We know the stakes are high in this game. Both teams, from my research and knowledge, seeking their first national title. They've come close. General Strike, especially 10 years ago, I think you remember this game in Victoria. They had a chance in 2016 against Grand Trunk and in 2017 against GOAT. All coming up short. In 2012, they lost to Furious. On the other hand, Rumble also coming up short in 2018 to Ottawa Phoenix. And you can't see this on your screen right now, but Vogel looking like he's going to be carted off. I'm not going to be a doctor here, but I don't think he's going to come back. We'll see what happens. I wish we had someone on the sidelines there to tell us.
Certainly not for this half, as it's going to take some time to take a look at what's going on. Strike setting up in a horizontal offense here, split stack.
Ladyman thought about the Huckter crew. They had set up that initiation play, a classic one with 2 players in the split stack. Ladyman with some momentum. And the mark really giving up this break backhand for Ladyman. Villa looking for Benoon. And Benoon gets it taken away as Vogel driving off, ushering some words of encouragement to his defense.
That's right. Rumble with the break chance here to even it up. They'll still need to get another break after that to be on serve. And you always hope your defensive line is going to be chilly. Take the 100% shots. And a big huck goes up.
Wonder against Greenberg. Greenberg going to swat it away. One of the big handlers for this squad. Getting out in the deep space, making a block.
That's right. Seem to have position the entire way down the field there. I want to point out, I'm really enjoying watching Crew cut, as he is a deep threat every single time he runs deep, showing that he's not afraid to hold the disc. But every time he goes deep, everyone bites, and he always has these gigantic underneath gains or just huge separation, just like you saw there, because he's such a deep threat and changing direction so quickly. Just a fantastic job cutting by Crew.
Can't miss him. He's got the hoodie on the head, playing with a little style here and going deep. Currently, pass from Greenberg looking for Crew, and he'll track it down for the score.
And there you see, once again, that separation from Crew. Very difficult to defend when, as a defender, you basically need to decide every split second just what is the most dangerous thing I have to take away from this player, because he can go in any other direction, and I'll have trouble matching up with him, or when he changes direction, I don't know if I'll be able to react in time.
And for Strike, they showed a lot of resilience today. They were down to the #1 seed Quake in their semifinal. Listen to this count, folks, 6-2. Able to take the game, winning by 1, 9-8. So wasn't a lot of points in this game, but Strike definitely fighting back. Able to get themselves into this final with a 3-1 lead currently.
Well, that's sort of a scary score to think about if you're a Winnipeg fan. It does speak to the consistency that Strike has most of the time. And maybe they summoned it after they were down 6-2, but we have seen a really clean and disciplined offense, and maybe Strike had a stumble, but able to really dial it back and just get back to the focus that has been so strong for them.
Lacey had got up large earlier for the goal. Bedard going to wipe the disc off his jersey, get things going. Finds Tyler Hochhalter. Had Greenaway going deep, but Bedard going to get the reset pass.
Rumble started with a vertical side stack, but then has since melted into a regular middle vertical offense.
Haven't seen Xander Nichols get involved yet. I know he had a big game in their pool play matchup against Manic that was on the stream, and want to see number 18 get involved eventually for this Rumble squad. Lacey. Juking was Bedard, but slipping on the turf. See if there's going to be a foul call.
Bedard seemingly arguing that his foot was stepped on or contacted. Tough to tell when you blow a tire like that. Liam Gulkin pleading his case, saying, sir, we both fell down. So the observers involved going to give their take on this.
Jeff Blair and Glenn Ford both coming together now conferring.
Glenn making sure we can't read his lips right now.
Classic baseball move, I'll say. It's always funny when you see a pitcher's or mound visit where pitchers and catchers holding their mouth don't want anyone to lip read and find out what they're saying. We're going to hear the call now or see it get resolved with observer Jeff Blair. Team green for this game.
Observer ruling there is a foul.
Turf faced a lot of wetness from the rain, so we'll see how that plays throughout this contest. Going around. Bedard seemingly going to go every other in this end zone set. So quick in the reset space. Going inside shot. Alex Bedard going to have a big game for Rumble if they want to make a big comeback.
Theo, I'm just going to pick up my jaw from the cold metal scaffolding we are standing on after watching that break IO flick from Bedard. If you're defending, you have the cutter when a throw like that goes up, you are dead to rights immediately. There is no touching that. An extremely difficult throw to pull off if you've ever tried it. An amazing put from Bedard there. Usually we talk about amazing puts being these massive 70, 80-yard hucks, but that throw probably, I am 1 for 10. How about you?
On those throws?
On those throws.
You know, I don't really play Ultimate anymore, Clay. I'm more up in the booth along with Tushar Singh, who is still playing, our producer, still slinging out there on the field at the Masters and Grand Masters level. These players playing the senior level here, and then we also got juniors coming up this week, so don't forget about that. Tune into those streams, also presented by I Am Ultimate. You can find it on the same YouTube channel that you're watching this game on. Greenberg can have the disc once again, very calm and collected in the handler space. Finds Benoon. Benoon has Crew going deep. Pump fakes him instead.
Crew felt like that one was definitely coming as he stopped and pulled up from his cut. But Benoon not liking the look, moving the disc around. Strike usually playing rather smart. I don't want to say conservative, Theo, because it hasn't been, but definitely thinking about this is a good choice, but is it really the one I want? And if that gut reaction isn't yes, immediately they look it off and move it back.
That shows the calming presence. Our Ladymen going over to Greenberg. A lot of cycling here from General Strike. They do a great job of that as two players coming in the area. Goldberg
Rumble,
in the reset space now.
Excuse me. Rumble doing a pretty good job of playing honest defense right now, shutting down most of the looks, but some separation established there for a big huck.
Ladyman on the doorstep of a score. Finds Villa for the grab, but it was all set up by that big throw.
That's right. Just a lot of patience shown by Strike. Defenders in the area, but a put that could not really have been caught by anyone else, just splitting the seam between the two defenders. And you can take shots like that if you've had a lot of patience, and then you see finally that perfect moment of separation where the defense will just have very little chance. But Rumble right now, the effort out there is still 100%. They're in high spirits. I'm looking at their line, their sideline right now. No one has their heads down. No one is disappointed. We see Dave Hochhalter look at the ground a lot and mutter a little bit, but he's just thinking about what he wants to see from his players. We know he's a fired up guy when he's thinking about strategy and effort, but I don't think he would complain about the effort right now as Rumble's putting all they have into it.
And going to be without Jordan Vogel, at least for the time being. A big storyline here for this game as Vogel does a lot for them. Has 14 assists and 10 goals coming into this game. So does a lot of heavy lifting on this offensive line. Other people are going to have to carry the load. Hochhalter underneath.
So an isolation play into a continue from the side stack, and then Bedard using his legs as he has been all championship.
Bedard going up the line, and that's 3 straight holds from Rumble, finding Kobilka.
Scoring quickly like that right now when you're down, really, really important. Showing the other team that you're unwilling to go away and keeping the game within one quickly like that. Very important to keep the other team from really gaining momentum, right? Strike is winning right now, but Rumble, I don't feel like this train hasn't gotten away from them. They're honestly, I would say, if I could read minds, they're thinking the same thing, saying we're totally in this right now.
They have 3 clean holds after getting broken twice to start the game. What can their defense do right now to ratchet up some pressure? We see a lot of great cycling from General Strike, from their cutters. As soon as a deep cutter comes in, someone's already going deep. What can Rumble do to stop that or stop some of the smooth offense we've seen from Strike?
I think the first thing I would say is perhaps be a little bit more heads up on the last man back. So we're seeing some great switches from Rumble right now, but sometimes it's a little bit too late. And Strike, as they're willing to swing the disc back and forth and take little dishes, they wait and wait and wait until it is their player that's the deepest, and then they let loose with the big huck and really use their legs. So if I'm coaching Rumble right now, which I am not, Bedard dad, but I would say definitely perhaps keep up the last man back as a big thought in all your players' minds.
It's going to be standard offensive line here. Benoon firing it back to Greenberg, who peppers it over to Ladyman. Greenberg really moving fast here. Seeing a much faster paced offense, and that pass, bouncing off the chest of Villa, giving Rumble their first break opportunity.
An unfortunate and uncharacteristic turn of events as we've seen from Villa, who has been high energy and very consistent. So we know he'll want that one back. Rumble in their vertical offense. No mark on the throw right now.
Rumble's actual second opportunity here for a break. First one at this point. Nealon on this close sideline needs some help. Finds it up line. Rumble knocking on the door of a break. What a call.
A pick call. Common in vertical. Well, I saw some picks signaled, but now there's some more discussions. I wonder if there was something else at play, but nevertheless, the players seeming to work this out very, very quickly. And right on the doorstep, Rumble to get a break.
Coming in on stall 6 here. Pressed on the sideline. Needs some help. Is going to find Jared Wonder. And Rumble gets the break.
You see that reaction from Rumble. They knew they had to get it done to get back in this game. They are now tied, but they did start the game on offense, meaning they are down a serve, if I'm not mistaken, Theo. So to get back where they need to be, Rumble's going to need to get another break and then turn it around, maybe keep that momentum going once they've caught up and start taking the lead. A rather obvious observation, I will say, but if you didn't see it on screen there or you didn't hear it in your earphones, definitely heard the big cheers, the big energy from Rumble, and the crowd cheering them on from the bleachers to keep Rumble in this game and start that run.
I'm just going to formulate a guess. That's going to be the Alberta team remix out there. I'm just going to guess.
I'd say that's a good educated guess, Theo.
Unfortunately, the other Winnipeg team here, at least for Strike, if they wanted some fan support, PBHG playing on a field across from us against Union in the mixed final.
Yeah,
and Fusion not here.
Or any juniors that were on their way to the field to see some teams of theirs play were unfortunately sent to the hotel thanks to the delays we faced earlier.
So even if some players from Mofo wanted to come, they couldn't. And Crew now going deep. Crew is just getting free in the deep space. They're going to have to find some answer for number 8 right now. He had a great game against Manic, having one here as well. Crew shaking free and catches the huck, and then the score later on. How are they going to stop Stephen Crew?
I want to see Rumble back him right now. I want to see them put the priority in their minds that, yep, Crew's dangerous where he goes out or when he comes under, either or, but make it your priority that you are always there no matter where you are in the field with him, that you will be able to contest any throws deep. And if that means taking a step and a half, 2 steps back off of him, perhaps you're giving him the free under, but does that really matter when that player continues to get open deep over and over again? I don't think so.
Let him beat you with the hucks right now. Let him throw. Let's see if he can find another receiver like a Benoon or someone else deep and make him a thrower. Let's not make him a cutter if I'm Rumble coaching staff.
Absolutely. Perhaps Rumble, though, thinking that right now when they're so close, it is possible that they're testing the waters with a few things and don't want to show a few defensive looks or force that just yet. Perhaps when they get the lead and get their D-line out more frequently, they want to do that. But as they continue to be pummeled by that, I believe they have to make a change now.
Vertical stack here from Rumble. Little split and send. Classic vertical stack play to get things going. And they'll keep the disc with Bedard, who you know is going to make things happen for this Rumble squad.
Theo, I'm watching number 18 on Rumble right now, Nichols, and I've seen him make lots of jukes and get some separation going deep, but unfortunately, it's just happening a little too deep from the disc at times. You can see him in the middle there being backed extremely by his defender. And that errant throw to him, not what Rumble needs right now.
The benefit for both teams being streamed previously in this tournament, I think, is coming to pass or showing itself. Strike is really containing Nichols, seeing what he did in that stream contest.
Absolutely. They were giving him about 5 yards on the last man back there, like definitely knowing that he is going to be their deep striker and just taking it away.
High stall from Toto. It's going to be a stall down that's not contested. In the Quake Strike game, there was actually back-to-back stall outs in the game. So we're seeing that rear its head right now. Bedard has a short field to work with for Rumble going up the line. Knocked away. Great defensive effort, but it's caught.
Great second effort by Kobelka. And also great defensive effort by the player on strike. I didn't quite catch the number, Theo, but he did everything he could. And unfortunately, those deflections sometimes just don't go your way, pop up in the air, stay up there. That was number 13 on strike. Oh, a number we are actually, 18. No, we have that. Excuse me, everyone, Jack Murray with the big layout. We got to give him that credit. We have to give him that credit.
We can't let him be an unknown ghost or anything like that on the stream, so we do get that. And, you know, I often hear the argument, Clay, that you need to catch your blocks or catch your Ds. But sometimes if you're laying out, that's all you can do. So I think in that situation, he could not catch the D. He just had to try his best to knock it away. And he put it pretty far in the end zone. Kobylka able to stay with it. Steady-headedness there to make the catch.
Yeah. So we're seeing a D-line similar earlier. I want to point out, in the white gloves, the black hat, the white shoes, Bobby Standenforth did not see a lot of him in our original stream with the Rumble playing Blackfish. But here, several defensive points. A former high-level bobsledder.
For Team Canada, in fact, and so that's a cool story from Standenforth. He actually had a couple big plays, a great sky against Hound in their victory in the semifinals. Ladyman looking for a huck, gonna go perhaps inside, needs to find a reset. It's Crew underneath. Standenforth on that matchup right now.
I really like that matchup, Theo. That is exactly what I would have done. Standenforth right on his hip, and you see Crew coming under and getting looked off in the deep. The change you need to make. I'm loving this.
Benoon collects that pass from Crew, and Goldberg working really hard to get the reset. The handler's going to work right now for Strike as Greenberg on the far side of the field and Goldberg shaking free.
Strike once again showing that patience that they've just demonstrated every single offensive possession. If a gut reaction there isn't to throw it, take something easier.
It looks almost like they're on easy mode at times with how smooth they are as Kagan finds Cohen for the score. They just know they have a reset at will at this point.
And that pays off. We actually talked about this in the stream earlier today in our mixed semi, and it was that teams get in front of the end zone, and for some reason, it's as if they have a shot clock, and perhaps that wasn't the mixed semi, sorry, Theo, perhaps our quarter, but nevertheless, teams feel as if there's a shot clock sometimes in front of the end zone. They start getting anxious. Everything gets louder. Strike, absolutely not. In that philosophy, they are just absolutely chill, collected, and patient in front of the end zone. I do want to say, though, there was one more thing that I really like there. It's the last thing I'm going to say about Bobby in this sequence. But standing fourth, all right, huge defensive play there against Crew. Really changed it up. Rumble needs to do more of that. That was huge of locking him down. I did say when I saw standing fourth coming into the tournament on day one after he had played in Ireland with Fig Jam, I just said, Masters Open, no big deal, right, Bobby? And he said, it is a big deal, and it is different, but definitely showing it is no different to him on that point. Great defensive point for him.
He's in great shape and able to keep up with the younger and athletic Stephen Crew there, making him go underneath, making him a bit of a thrower like we talked about. Handler initiated play here for Lacey, who continues it over. Finds Redshaw. Almost a blocked pass there, but Lacey keeping his head, shooting a lasery flick. Wilson trying to bid, coming up empty. Kobilka will get his third goal, and that was Nichols with the assist.
Finally seeing Nichols in the deep. Nichols is fired up. His favorite cut, Theo, I will remind our audience, is deep. And obviously, for that reason, I'm glad to see Nichols opening it up now. We saw earlier in the tournament on the stream, he came down with 6 goals in our previous broadcasted game with Rumble. That's one. Let's see if he can get 5 more.
At some point, you're going to need to get that all-coveted break as you're down. Because of the fact you saw an offense, if you're Rumble, we haven't seen a lot of crossover, Clay. I haven't seen a Bedard coming out on defense. Haven't seen a Lacey, Ryan Lacey coming out on defense, or Tyler Hochhalter, number 86, or Troy Redshaw, who are offensive players. Do you think we will see that maybe on the next point? Because we're not seeing it right now.
No, we're not seeing it right now. That is a really good point, and you have me wondering if perhaps just the game plan for Rumble coming into this game was very much a division of responsibilities, and just each group creating some primary focus of what they were going to do this game so that they didn't have to have too many assignments, too many tasks to think about, perhaps just locking in some major points for focus for each player to give them the best mental approach to this game.
In the horizontal stack, the Cutters, Crew, Kagan, Benoon, and Ladyman for strike as Greenberg walking up the disc, guarded by Jared Wonder. Around to Ladyman to get things going. As they reset back to Greenberg. Greenberg going to launch it deep, looking for Devin Cohen. And he goes up large with the right hand just outside the end zone. Flipping it over to Ladyman for the score.
That was just over top of Joe Lynn. I bet Lynn could argue that that touched his fingernails. He was good position, but had to go early to avoid contact with his check and just slightly out of his reach. He was there, but just too high for where he had to jump if he hoped to make a play.
And for strike, after they got broken by Rumble, they've only been broken once. Been 3 straight clean holds. And let's take a look at the General Strike defensive line. We know Nathan Wilson, a big-time player for them, or excuse me, Quinn Wilson. Nathan Wilson, his brother, playing for PBHG on the other side of the field. Hoffman's out there as well, and we get a crossing over Stephen Crew. So they're seeing the importance of this point trying to go up 8-6 with also starting out on offense in the second half.
I also think it's interesting that you put Crew out there as General Strike. You put Crew out there when perhaps you've realized that the one defender on Rumble that's had an effect against him is not on the offensive line. And also, really excited to watch Quinn Wilson play. Loved watching him earlier in the tournament. Did a ton of heavy lifting with his quick feet, quick changes of directions. And his pull is high and will float and will give Strike lots of time to come down and cover this.
We don't have advanced analytics in Ultimate yet with hang time for pulls, but that one is up there and gives you a big advantage for your defense as we see a different defensive look here from Strike. And a drop close to their end zone, going to give Strike a break opportunity. Quinn Wilson directing traffic here as they get in their end zone set. Perhaps they're going to isolate Crew, and instead, Quinn Wilson going to go with the timeout there. Had a player going on the break side and toddle, but Quinn Wilson letting him go with the timeout.
7-6, you haven't used any of your timeouts yet. If you score this point, you take half. I would totally agree with that timeout if you just wanted to set up a 100% sure shot play. I want to point out that defense that just happened there. So Rumble setting up a vertical offense. And what Strike decided to do was do a total bracket with the whole team. This has been known as a clam, where they made that shape of a U around the vertical stack, and by keeping players from coming under, standing in the lanes underneath, and then leaving one player last back, that there were no options to go in any direction. So a really good defense there, something to lock down the vertical offense, which is really the only offense we've seen out of Rumble, and definitely paid off.
Now, if you're Rumble, what kind of defense are you setting up in the end zone? Probably a clam of some sort with switches, but you know Strike can kind of bury that.
Well, if you look at the vertical stack here, you've got 4 men on our right from our perspective. Crew by himself. If I'm setting up a defense with Rumble, this is kind of telling that this might be an isolation play. However, teams are tricky, and perhaps Crew is just the bait, but we're just seeing a pretty standard open side defense from Rumble here, feeling like Crew is definitely the option.
Toddle is the reset for Wilson. Crew was isolated, now looking for Toddle. Finds him, now around to Crew, but he lost his defender, so there is a call. Looks like perhaps an injury as Dave Hochhalter coming onto the field.
Dave Hochhalter helping number 5, Ryan Lacey, off the field. I'm not sure if it was contact that caused the injury or just blowing a tire and tweaking a joint, but Strike also electing to make a sub. So Ladyman comes on for Strike, who's been a big offensive presence, and Landon Lavoie, explosive defender for Rumble.
This tap back, and you have another offensive player out there in Ladyman, so Strike really want to punch in this break for the 8-6 half. Quinn Wilson, really deceptive fakes going around to Ladyman. Let's see if Ladyman can help calm the nerves, perhaps, of this D-line offense, as they're probably itching to get this break here.
Strike doing a great job of moving the vertical stack up outside of the end zone. A lot of teams get trapped behind that goal line, but Strike not leaving their handlers stranded as their stack continues to move forward.
It's been a lot of Toddle, Ladyman, Wilson, and Crew here as the stack continues to move up. Crew now further in the stack. Hammer going up. And coming down with it, General Strike, 2 hands, stuff. And they get the break.
That was number 18, Jack Murray, with the bring down. He had that big layout block earlier that the disc just happened to carry on into the deep end zone where Kobilka was able to wrap it in. But a good feeling for Murray right now to get a big sky in quite a crowd as General Strike takes halftime in our open final.
It's been very exciting. We thank you for tuning in. We want to thank our sponsors before we sign off here. Discraft, VC Ultimate, the City of Brampton, and the Province of Ontario. We're going to take a short break as both teams will do the same. See if Rumble can put up a fight and come back here. Only down 2. Gonna have to use their defense to make that happen. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
And heading into the second half here of the open final. We've got the mixed final going on the far side. We wish we could have brought this to you, both of them. But with Ultimate, as so much we talk about the wind, so comes the rain. Sometimes there's lightning, and we've had to make a big adjustment. Even adjusting the stream from Sunday to today, it resulted in some further adjustments needing to be made. Thank you to those that have tuned in. If you've been tuning in over the last few weeks, I've been talking a lot about Community Ultimate, and I'll continue to do so. But right now, just thank you for participating. Thank you for supporting this stream. Thank you for supporting Ultimate Canada as well. It's been a big passion, Ultimate, for most of us for probably more than half our lives. And I hope that you'll be able to continue to support not only us, but also your local community players. These players you're likely to see for quite some time as they move into Masters and then into Grandmasters and GGM. The sport is definitely growing, and we hope to continue to be at the forefront of that growth. So to all of the competitors here and all the participants, a big thank you. Thank you for putting your own time and energy into it. And especially now, a big thank you to Theo Wan, who has been working tirelessly to put these streams out with me. I know it is an I Am Ultimate stream, but all these streams has been a big partnership with Theo, and look forward to continuing that over the next few years. So please don't give him too hard a time, or do. I think, you know, he deserves some of the criticism he gets, but generally speaking, he's been a major driving force behind these streams. Thank you as well to the Ultimate Canada staff. It's been a tough few years. Enough with the thank yous. I'll give it back now to the commentary crew, and we'll see you again later this week for juniors.
Pull going up from Rumble in the blue jerseys out of Alberta, taking on General Strike here in red out of Manitoba. It's the Open Division Finals at the 2022 Canadian Ultimate Championships. Theo Wan here with Clayton Howlett, Tushar Singh, our producer. Benoon right now stuck on the side, finds Ladyman. And as this second half gets started, we're going to talk a little bit about the weather, wind perhaps being a factor later on as Benoon blows a tire there.
Absolutely. Over halftime, it just got very, very gusty. Theo, at halftime, I'll pause right there. A miscue on a cut, causing a turnover. just thrown to where someone wasn't as the receiver went the other direction. Rumble down 2 points this game. This could be a huge break for them to bring the game within 1.
You have Lavoie centering the disc over to Nealon. He's had 15 assists so far, over to Wonder. Taking a lot of the big defensive assignments right now for this team. But the win picking up, as you said, we saw it as a factor in the women's final. Perhaps going to see it as well in this one.
Absolutely. It's hard to tell. I believe the wind is coming from our left to our right and maybe at us somewhat. After a pick call is resolved, Rumble resumes running their vertical offense that we've seen from them almost the whole game.
Their D-line running a lot of that vertical stack offense, and we've seen Strike come out in horizontal at times, and something you might note as well on some of the players' hands, some substance there, some chalk. I've seen even their coach or their helper there, and Greg Adamson, having a chalk bag ready to give out to players as they feel like they need that to help with their grip. Montez gonna need a reset here with a high stall.
Finds Lavoie.
Lavoie now cross field. Wonder one hand, can't get it on the second effort. There were multiple Rumble players there.
You can tell by his body language he's upset about that one. That break opportunity was huge. But as this weather is getting worse, there could be another, as things will not go according to plan when the wind has a say.
Staniforth's on that crew matchup, making things very difficult for number 8 right now. Ladyman going up to get that disc, and pressure ratcheting up here. Crew slides for the grab and pops up right away for a little give and go with Greenberg. He is having a game right now, folks, and really trying to usher this first national title for General Strike if they can take this game.
Short passes. This is smart. Chill it out a little bit. Strike, great idea.
Ladyman finds his receiver, a little fake spike perhaps from Goldberg.
Look stuck to his hand there, Theo. Theo, we were talking during halftime, maybe what can Rumble do to change up a little bit and generate some more defensive pressure. I mean, that point, let's start there, that point was really intense. The conditions taking away a lot of the snappy throws. Throws have to, you need as a thrower that extra second, those extra half seconds even, just to think about the extra things you have to do to throw it properly in this wind. And Rumble absolutely clamping down, generating that turnover. An unfortunate drop in the end zone for them, but a way more intense defense there.
And I love the look from Lavoie. Lavoie is one of their shooters on D-line, and he made that happen going across the field, through around the stack, really over top of the stack with that blade. Had multiple Rumble players in the area just because most of General Strike's defense was on the open side, but just oh so close there.
Yeah, it was an excellent throw. It was somewhere where only his teammates could receive it. Now we're seeing a fairly standard O-line out here. And when I say standard, I'll say we're used to seeing these guys out for offense for Rumble. But that pull will sail out of bounds. And Rumble setting up in a vertical side stack. We've seen them cut from all positions of the stack.
You say standard O-line, but a couple big players missing right now, and Dave Hochhalter and Jordan Vogel. Standard for what we've seen so far in this game, for most of it. Tyler Hochhalter looking for Xander Nichols, and Xander Nichols, get yourself on a poster right now.
2 out of 6. Nichols, you're a third of the way there. We knew that we were going to see this from him. And this was an excellent throw from Hochhalter. Just pretty zippy with the wind the way it is right now. I was really glad he kept that relatively flat with just a tiny bit of edge and not a big OI edge with the wind. Certainly would have taken control over. Great shot there by Hochhalter. Great elevation and speed by Nichols.
Nichols, his first goal, he had an assist earlier where he caught it right outside the end zone, so he's making things happen for his team. And he might not get the 6 goals, but his presence in the deep space is going to be important.
Absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see how Strike deals with him. We saw Rumble make an adjustment for Crew, having Staniforth get down and take away his deep strikes. But now, how will Strike respond to Nichols when he's out there, but they won't right now as the defensive line takes over for Rumble. Theo, I'd like to see something a little bit more junky right now, but it looks like Rumble is calling checks right now just based on their body language, but perhaps they feel that Strike's zone offense is too strong, but I'd like to see you throw something just to jostle them and make them think about something else rather than match up offense.
I know you're a big proponent of this. You don't want to end up leaving a game knowing that you left something in the tank in terms of a certain look. Try something, even a different force, to make things a little bit more difficult for your opponent.
Absolutely. Strike doing a great job using all their weapons on the field. We've seen a lot out of Benoon.
Benoon now going deep. Greenberg pump fakes it, and Sandifor still in that crew matchup, but flying in for the block. Landon Lavoie going horizontal.
Theo, Lavoie got that block. I'm sorry, I have to calm myself. But what got me so excited is we saw the Strike players look around wondering, where did Lavoie come from? An amazing read by Lavoie. Standing forth, able to hold on to it.
Little bobble. Don't think that this is as wet as it was earlier with the rain, as Lavoie, he wants to shoot it, looking in the end zone and take it away. Ladyman.
Perhaps Lavoie will consider maybe dumping it a little bit more after that. He's had 2 throws. That one not quite his fault. That one kind of telegraphed into the arms of the defenders, unfortunately. Strike showing us that discipline. And there seems to be a call on the mark here. I think a foul, no contest based on the hand signals I see. Stahl's coming in at 1.
And you can see also the way Lavoie's holstering the disc in that flick power grip there, looking for that blade either across the field. And now Greenberg going deep. Cohen is there. And Cohen getting up large, and I mean large, for the score.
A massive, massive grab. We've seen 2 defensive points in a row now, Theo, where Rumble has had it on the goal line, 5 yards outside from the goal line, and just not converting the red zone. An extremely frustrating concept to deal with as an ultimate player when you are running offense. They just need to take a few extra throws, a few extra seconds, do that gut check. If that reaction that this might not be the throw of just holstering it and moving it around. We can see, not on your screen, but Hochhalter having a conversation with Lavoie about maybe an adjustment in tactics when we're getting to the end zone, trying to calm him down or suggesting you don't need to take that shot if it's not there right away, just move the disc. But Lavoie's defense, though, can't forget about that. Amazing layout.
He seemingly came out of nowhere, as you said, to make that play happen. Multiple Strike players confused, wondering where Lavoie came. To quote a famous commentator, Liam Grant, like a thief in the night, Lavoie swooping in for the block.
Rumble setting up in a split stack in straight isolation to Bedard, and it looks like they were looking for Xander Nichols going deep, but now doing a little give-go as Strike comes down with the zone, breaking up that play.
I like the look from Strike right now, trying to muddle things up. We've seen a couple great long throws from Rumble, so make them throw a couple more passes here as Tyler Hochhalter holding the disc right now with no mark.
Yeah, finally someone marking Hochhalter, as he had all day to pick and choose the option he wanted.
Hoffman switched off the back. Is going to be there. Who's going to get there? It's going to be Hoffman boxing out Redshaw, but a foul is called.
And you see Hoffman immediately upset with that call as they were both arguing that they had position. Hoffman seeming pretty fired up. That's a tough one, Theo. I've always believed that if you're both competing for the same position, it's hard to call a foul if you feel that you're pushed. But this call retracted after some talk. A good conversation had. Hoffman still very fired up, proud of himself of getting that in, as he should. The call was retracted. He made the play. So props to Hoffman battling for that position.
But right now, this could be treading on dangerous times for Rumble. Don't want to go down 4 here in the second half. Got to keep it close. And this is going to be big for their offensive line to ratchet up their defense. Williams getting free, finding Quinn Wilson. Had Hoffman going deep, going to go give and go instead. And there's a pick called.
Often in these verticals when we see a very, very, very open receiver with 10 to 15 yards of separation. 9 times out of 10, a pick was had and Nichols got cut off, so he catches up and the disc is tapped back in.
Wilson pointing out directions with Tyler Hochhalter face guarding. Never turned his head to see where the pass was going. Wilson, a little backhand to Gutkin. Gutkin gets nailed on the mark by Redshaw. Going to draw some boos from some of the pro General Strike crowd in the bleachers.
And TMF, the blue card presented there, probably suggesting that you cannot initiate that sort of contact against the player. Unsurprising to see that blue card coming out, considering the game started after 2 points with a spirit timeout, Theo, regarding the contact.
Yeah, that spirit timeout coming because Vogel out right now, getting bit in the back from a strike player in Zachary Total. Inside over to Greenaway. About 10 yards away. He's going to find a reset to Ryan Lacey. Lacey going around and sliding in for the grab. Rumble gets the hold they needed.
Theo, I'm going to stand by it. He's going to get those goals this game. That's Xander Nichols getting the pickup off the ground there. Not his favorite cut, of course, but he's getting it done everywhere. A good hold, an important hold by Rumble.
He would take 1,000 in cuts right now if that means his team wins the national title, is all I'm going to say. I know he loves the deep cut, but he'll take 1,000 in cuts right now.
You're absolutely right.
Team Green here on the screen huddling up. They like to confer in between points, and I think that's a great thing for that group. We want to thank all the observers. There's 4 here, and I'm sure there's 4 in the mixed final as well. They do a great job of making this tournament run smoothly, and they're also always looking to get better. And I think that's something that I've always appreciated from the observers as they look and evaluate their games and how things are going.
And it's important, too, to note that the Team Green really is a team right now. So after that TMF was presented, everybody had to be brought into the loop of why that happened. Because if those observers see that again, they will say to Rumble, who has one TMF against them for that contact, that, hey, we warned you, and here's your next penalty. So Team Green making sure they're all on the same page.
You see a lot of the similar D-line suspects out there. Jared Wonder making some plays and Staniforth on that crew matchup, who was isolated, starting out in the break space here. Looking for Devin Cohen, who just got up large on the last offensive point. Climbing the ladder, going to shoot it out for Ladyman. What a shot by Devin Cohen. Over to Matt Ladyman for the hold.
Strike seemingly have no problem with these conditions right now, Theo. So many successful hucks from General Strike in this game as the conditions have gone from calm to bananas back down to mildly gusty, and they've thrown in all of it. So I want to keep my coaching hat on and tell Rumble, try something a little bit more cloggy on defense, make it more difficult for the Cutters, but perhaps they've just seen from Strike it's not worth it. Rumble only has 1 break this game. It's slowly getting away from them at 11-8 here. Room before the game ends is starting to run out.
Of course, in the finals, we get the soft cap +1 rule, which I love, meaning you have to score to win. That's something we talked about all tournament. Now we've been patient, Clay, and it comes into fruition. And for some people, they're seeing Ultimate under the lights and maybe surprised about that. So, Clay, why don't you tell them why we're playing here Saturday instead of tomorrow, which was what it was supposed to be.
Initially, the call was made earlier today that the weather here in Brampton tomorrow on Sunday was going to be dismal, to say the best, and games would not be able to happen. Not just the stream, but games entirely. And then today, after a thunder and lightning storm, There were many delays and always having to wait half an hour after the Lightning to play. Games were delayed quite a bit. Strike coming down in a zone to slow things down for Rumble. Rumble moving the disc around, seemingly to not really having a problem with the zone right now.
Ryan Lacey pumping the huck and finds a reset to Tyler Hochhalter over to Bedard now. And I'm sure this is a special experience regardless of the outcome for both teams playing under the lights here in Brampton at the VC Showcase Field.
I want to point out the last back work being done by General Strike right now. Keep an eye on Hoffman in the backfield, if you can see him. He is at least 10 yards behind his player right now.
Bedard making that grab out of absolutely nowhere. Even Hochhalter on this close sideline can't believe it as there's a foul called. I don't know how he came up with that catch. It just zipped right into his hands like a magnet.
I don't think he did either, based on his reaction. One could argue he was protecting his face, and he happened to catch the disc while doing so.
And if you want to make a run and try to win a national title here, you're going to have some lucky things happen. Perhaps that being one of them as a pick is called, slowing down some Rumble momentum.
Lacey has done a great job handling this game. Obviously, if you know Rumble, you know that there's usually some other high-class handlers in the back there, like Dave Hochhalter, but Lacey doing a great job in working in partnership with Bedard this game. Those two keeping it alive for Rumble often.
Bedard is U24 eligible here, so if any U24 coaches are watching, want to see him represent Canada on the national stage with his talent. Quinn Wilson being another hopeful, getting the block on Tyler Hochhalter.
Good no call by Hochhalter there on that contact. I think Hochhalter realized that that disc was not going to be his, and then contact ensued rather a relatively long time after that turnover was set in stone.
Tuttle going reset here. Stack a little deeper right now for a strike. And needing some options with a high stall. Gets batted but caught by Tuttle, who works it over to Hoffman. Did a great job being the last back defender. Now trying to work out in the lanes as an offensive cutter. More than two players going for strike deep. Instead, Hoffman underneath. Take a little extra steps upfield. Not called.
Nope. Rumble perhaps feeling there was no advantage gained by that.
Needing some options right now. Rich gets it knocked away. That's Redshaw, the remix squad. Pumped up about that. I love how there's two opposing crowds. Gets a little good atmosphere here.
And a timeout called by Bedard. You could see he was going to do that right away as he didn't even look at his team as they all were not set in the offense, and he just walked over to the disc and called it immediately. This long point, several turnovers for both teams. That's the offensive line for Rumble out there. Probably a great idea there by Bedard to settle it down and say, all right, guys, we're going to set something up to end this point so we can get off, get our D-line on. We need that time to make up the deficit in this game.
Rumble going to take a quick breath in this timeout. We're going to do the same in the booth and be right back. Rumble on offense here in the Open Division Final of the 2022 Canadian Ultimate Championships. Flower City, Brampton, Ontario. We got Rumble out of Alberta. Drawing players from Edmonton, but also Calgary out there.
Absolutely.
Out of vertical stack.
AFC building a big program. A really interesting vertical stack as there was no dump. It was 6 players in the stack. A quick play right off the front to get the disc moving.
Little old school Ironside no handler vertical stack there from Rumble as they do get one now. Quick movement from this Alberta side. An exciting Prairies matchup for this Open Final going around at Bedard, showcasing the talent across the country here. So we saw some Quebec teams in the women's final, now some Prairies teams here in the Open.
I find it a little bit interesting. I think back to you to how geography plays a part at Canadian Nationals. And it's interesting to see two teams from what you would call the West in finals at an Eastern tournament.
Lacey also making a catch like Bedard earlier that he probably had no business making, just the way his body was contorting. But Nichols getting on the board once again.
Theo, you're giving me the 3 goals for Nichols there, halfway there. I'd be very happy if you were wrong, and he is at 4 right now. I do want to see him get back to 6. He's just been phenomenal this tournament. He's turned it on for this game. We didn't see him very much in the first 5-6 points of the game.
Early in the first half, yeah.
Yeah, but now he's really shown up. And you see the defense adjusting him, giving him 5-10 yards backing because they're afraid of him going deep. So I've been saying it the whole time, Theo. Perhaps Coach Bedard down there is going to give me some flack for it later on, telling him what to do, but I really want to see a different sort of look from Rumble right now, that just even for a moment if you want to melt, but just do something different from a match defense. Throw a poach in the lanes. Do a straight up mark. Force backhand, but just do something to make Strike come out of not exactly the autopilot. They're working for it, but definitely out of the routine that they've been in this game.
I think he read your mind because right now Alex Bedard is out on this defensive point for Rumble. And perhaps he's going to add some firepower. He's going to take another main handler on the other side here.
Hey, we're seeing a straight up mark. Seeing something different. I love it. Standing
Cohen going deep, and it's going to remain with him. Cohen under pressure reels in another goal. Devin Cohen making things happen for Strike.
And Luke Nealon right in there doing the best he could, but I think if he did anything else to get that defensive play, he probably would have had to body his check out of the way. And we've seen this game, the observers warning both teams about excessive contact. So a great catch by the Strike receiver. Nealon in the area, but just not enough.
Cohen, his third goal. The scoreline here, 12-9 for Strike. Similar scoreline in the mixed final right now. Union up 12-9 for those wanting a score update. And now 13-10. We're getting score updates on the comments, so you already know that, audience. It's just helping us, actually, in the booth.
Always helpful. I love it when the fans help us. I think maybe sometimes, Theo, we might get a thing wrong or two or not be in the know somehow sometimes. So fans, we thank you for your help.
I'm sure the fans in Alberta that are cheering on Rumble, maybe trying to usher some instruction through the screen here and words of encouragement as Rumble trying to make the comeback. Down 12-9 right now. Can only focus on 1 point at a time, so got to get this hold. Bedard out there, third straight point for number 41.
Center to Bedard, but we see a split stack. This is a play often called the Jets go, where 2 players go across the field and one comes under. They elect not to go to it, instead move the disc around their handlers. But what that also does is leaves Hochhalter, who came back against this zone, and now Rumble has 4 handlers against the strike zone, which is very difficult to cover, as you see.
Making sure to fall to his feet there with the fakes is Bedard. As they settle into person defense, and there's a poached Tyler Hochhalter who works give and go with Bedard. Greenaway draws 2 deep defenders, and that will allow Redshaw to get underneath cut. Travel called, we'll move it back. Going around to Bedard. Bedard just gonna stay in that center handler anchor position for Rumble right now.
It's the best spot for him to be this game.
Lacey looking for Nichols. Will that stay in bounds? Disc hits the fence, and Hoffman trying to pump up some of the General Strike fans as this lead could go to 4 if they get the break.
Yeah. I see Hoffman making some big plays on offense right now. He is fired up. He has got a lot of crowd support right now. He is feeling it. He's caught on fire for General Strike. High-fiving in the vertical stack. Loving it, the energy. Hoffman is here to play.
Nichols, a long mark on Wilson, perhaps going to take away some of the throws here. Tuttle going deep. Wilson thought about powering up for the huck. It's going to go with a break backhand, but there's a stall called. Tuttle will make the catch, but there was a stall called by Nichols, so this is going to go back, folks.
Nice having 4 observers where there aren't 6, 7, 8 throws after a stall down call, and we see it only after 1 continue. This stall down call might be contested. We'll see what the observers say or what the players say, but what made that stall count possible was the extreme matchup pressure Rumble came down with on every single receiver. That's the thing we need to see from Rumble right now. Perhaps that has been their standard defense at this game, but the effort on that point, nobody was available. Quinn Wilson just put that up, that backhand, because he had to. He had nothing else.
And he used maybe the length of Nichols to its advantage, getting lower and throwing that backhand huck under the arm, under the right arm there of Nichols. Some discussion still to be had. See Linda Kudo, Jeff Peters discussing things. Redshaw is also in the area, along with Cameron Tramley, a D-line handler.
So, no stall count, or stall down, I should say. So that throw was up and off in time, and the disc will go back to where it was received. The players on the field now trying to work out where they were at the time when they heard the call. Seeing a lot of open players for General Strike right now, so they could just dish it around and work it into the end zone.
This is always the tricky part when there's a call, right? Players have to figure out where they were. Opposing teams saying, hey, you weren't there. I was here. And so some discussion will continue to ensue here. 12-9 the score.
So Team Green helping us out, having Tyler Hochhalter take a little bit of a shuffle to the right. Everybody seems happy at this point.
18 minutes, I've been told, to the soft cap +1. Tuttle airing this out for Hoffman. That's a break for Strike. And they're one step closer to their first ever national title.
I am completely unsurprised that Hoffman got that goal. He was open in the end zone. He wanted it. He's been hungry. He's been fired up. It was almost fated, Theo, that Hoffman was going to come away with that point. And that's a bookends D, edging out his offensive player, Xander Nichols, at the back of the end zone and then getting it all the way back down. I think that's the second bookends double happiness credit we've given Hoffman this game.
Strike has a roster that, if you watched them a few years ago, and especially in 2017 when they were unable to defeat GOAT in the final, going to look a lot different. So a lot of young players coming up through the Winnipeg system. A testament to their juniors program there. They're also going to be in attendance at the tournament Monday to Wednesday, so stay tuned for that coverage. Want to thank all the junior coaches that have given of their time. A lot of people, members of the community, volunteering, high school coaches, even middle school coaches, getting a lot of these players involved early in their careers and making them the players they are today.
Absolutely. And we see some amazing development, or I should say, excuse me, some amazing development for players happen that way. You mentioned Bedard earlier, eligible for U24. He could be playing on a national team soon. Based on the performance we've seen from him, it's can't call it a shoo-in, but I definitely expect him to make that roster, that is.
Tuttle trying to make the play, but the tall Tyler Hochhalter with the grab. Has a free reset, going to go inside instead to Nichols. Nichols getting a reset to Bedard, who gets free at will in the reset space, seemingly. Inside shot to Lacey. Lacey looking for Nichols, but Williams getting in the way of that one. No foul called.
Williams saw that coming, turned on the Jets, and lays out. This time a layout D on that side of the end zone is forced out of bounds. No second effort available for Rumble. Wilson taking his time, looking at his options, where his offense is set up, if they're ready. Centers to Ladyman.
Tuttle resetting over to Wilson.
Excuse me.
Two big D-line stalwarts right now out there, and not really any crossover, electing to go with the traditional defensive line. Gutkin over to Tuttle, who has a receiver going deep. Jack Murray making a score. What a shot from Zachary Tottle.
Murray seen as the speedy one on the team. Our notes we collected from Strike, they told us he is very, very quick, showing his wheels there. But what's interesting about that, Theo, is I think that his defender didn't pull up because they weren't fast enough, but Murray was already very, very deep, considering for most Hucks. He was already halfway down the field, perhaps 40 yards of vertically separated from the thrower. A lot of the time, teams teach to have something closer so your players can run onto it. But Strike's throws, their Hucks, have just been to the back of the end zone and just sit. And even when your receiver's 40 yards deep, you can still get that ahead of them. Has just been deadly this game. Such a weapon for General Strike.
See Eric Bedard talking to the offensive line. Alex Bedard is out there, but some D-line players getting some burn on the O-line right now as they've been broken a couple of times. See Staniforth out there as well as Wonder. No Nichols on for this point, or Ryan Lacey. Just changing things up a little bit, getting a different look right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're down. Strike only needs 1 point to win. So if you're Rumble, you're thinking all players got to do some lifting right now. You can't just keep running the 7 players over and over again. It is not sustainable. Strike coming down in his own defense. And immediately Rumble having an extra handler come back to have the 4, and they find a hole up the middle of the Hochhalter.
Tyler Hochhalter still out for this point. Lavoie now, a big shooter on defensive line, also making his way onto offense right now. Getting a little more handler firepower for this Rumble side. Speaking of firepower, you just saw Bedard with the disc.
No initiation cuts. Rumble lacking the continue. It seemed that everybody waited, then everybody went at once for Rumble there. So a foul, no contest, and probably a good time for Rumble to collect themselves and work out their initiation and calm down as nobody went, then everybody went.
Bedard getting free and coming off the back, not able to make a play, and also not crashing into Bedard, so want to give some credit there as Rumble does get the score. That's Lavoie going up line, but Tromley could have made a bigger play on that one and didn't bid into Bedard, which could have been very dangerous there. So good on him for making that play.
Absolutely. The story of the Spirit timeout and TMFs in this game, probably in the minds of most players, but also give credit to the individual for not putting another player at a blindside risk like that. Really great effort and also really smart to pull back, not to cause an injury.
We're going to get you a shot of the crowd here. Fans from both sides here to cheer on their squads. And right now, if you're a Winnipeg fan, they are 1 point away from their first ever national title. Silver in 2012, silver in 2016, silver in 2017.
Theo, this is a soft cap game. The time now, since General Strike has 14 points, the time is no longer a factor. We are playing to 15. However, if Rumble were to go on a run and rifle off some breaks here and then Strike were to wait for the hard cap to go in the time expiry, in a soft cap format, that doesn't exist. Strike has to score to win this game, and so does Rumble. So this game will not end on a time cap. It will end when one team is able to get to 15.
This offensive line been smooth all day, only broken once so far tonight. Here defense cheers from the remix squad. Benoon having to go up high for that one. Finds Crew on the far side. Past half field, our General Strike. Crew hammering it. And stacking it for the score. Silver, no more. General Strike are your national champions in the open division. Ladyman coming down with the grab.
Crew deciding to end this game with some flair and style. A hammer to win the game. A hammer from midfield, 30 yards deep. A sky ball. Crew, you're a wild man.
Crew, you want to end it in style, and you did it definitely right there. A few assists to your name and was working downfield throughout the game. And as things settle down, want to give kudos, of course, to Rumble. They're going to collect a silver medal to go along with the one they got in 2018. Actually, at this tournament, not just this tournament, this venue in terms of Brampton, Ontario. They played that at the stadium, but either way, it was at this location. So another silver medal for Rumble. They got to be happy with the effort and are coming in to cheer. But Strike, your national champions in the open division, the 3 seed. Take it all, and now we haven't done this yet on the stream, and I'm going to throw you a curveball right here, potentially, Clay.
Great.
We know there's going to be an MVP being given out. Who's your pick?
I would, ooh.
There's a couple options out
There's
here.
a couple, but for me, after watching this game, I'm between Crew and Hoffman. I'm leaning to Hoffman. What about you, Theo?
I'm going to go perhaps a little bit more offensively and look at Stephen Crew. I know Devin Cohen made some plays as well, getting up large. Ladyman had a great game as well. It's not always about the stats per se. It's also the impact on the field. But this ultimate under the lights, it is dark skies now here in Brampton. Check the time, 8:36 Eastern. We thank you for tuning in. I am Ultimate, producing the coverage and trying to get a look at who won the silver medal here. I'm seeing a lot of Hound jerseys, so I'm just going to go out on a limb and bronze medal, excuse me.
Oh.
I do see Hound jerseys out there, so I'm going to go on a limb and believe they won, but we can fact check that as well.
Well, Theo, I think the story of this game was certainly Rumble trying to make adjustments for the big, high-powered offensive Strike. They did make some adjustments that were more successful later, but Strike's, Hawks, just amazing this game. Rumble putting out the effort, but on defense, just unable to catch up and shut that down.
We thank you for tuning in. That concludes our coverage of the Canadian Ultimate Championships in the senior division. Stay tuned for juniors coverage starting on Monday. We'll see you next time.